I'm ashamed to admit that I was a rubbish PT when I first qualified, but I have improved, and this video is going to go through the 5 mistakes that I made as a personal trainer. Before I get into the video, I think the reason why I was a crappy PT was because I just qualified, and obviously when you're new on the job, you haven't got that experience, you haven't made the mistakes to know to not do that again. And I think mistakes are really important, as long as you don't keep making them, right? Like, you make them once or twice, you learn from them, and you do things differently, and you don't make the same mistakes again, then at least you could call yourself a decent personal trainer. So now, looking back, I can call myself a decent personal trainer. So just a little bit about me. I am from Pakistan and India origins. I moved to the UK when I was 6/7 years old. I love personal training. I love advocating for it just because I'm Asian, I'm Muslim, I'm female, and you don't see a lot of those combinations, promoting fitness. So I really love what I do. I love being a chain breaker, and I love showing it in my culture that fitness is really, really important. Okay, the first mistake I made as a PT was I forced this poor woman to perfect a stiff leg deadlift on the Smith machine. I think it was either like a first or second session, right? And I was telling her to keep her knees soft, keep her back straight as she bent over, and then make sure the bar goes up and down. But like, the poor woman, it was like she hadn't done it before. She wasn't very confident in the gym, so there was gym anxiety. And every time she bent over, she kept rounding her back. And I couldn't understand why it was so hard for her to round her back. And I was getting frustrated. And that's horrible for me. Like, I don't do that anymore, obviously. But looking back, I was like, wow, like I was so focused on making sure she got the movement right that I ignored all the other humane signs. Like, she was uncomfortable. She already had gym anxiety. She was looking around. She felt even more self-conscious, and I kept pushing it and forcing it. And even though I felt that she was like really uncomfortable, I kept pushing my agenda on her, and that's not okay. That's not right. So this is what this experience taught me, that I need to understand how to isolate a part of their body. Just because it's easy for me does not mean it's going to be easy and come second nature to another person. And that moves me on to, I need to have patience. I need to give that person time, space, energy, and love to make mistakes. And if I can, if I sense that somebody's not comfortable, if somebody's anxiety is going up, I need to honor that, and I need to make sure that they're comfortable first. And everything, if comfortable, safety first, and everything else comes later. Like, if I could go back, I would have like been like, it's okay, don't worry, you're fine, you're doing great. And the more anxious she's got, we'll be like, that's okay, we're going to come back to this next time, let's move on to the other side. Like, that's what I wish I would have done. I think the most important thing is, do not let my ego get in the way. Like, don't let my agenda get in the way of that customer's happiness and feeling. Like, they are way more important than I am. My knowledge does not make a difference. What they're feeling is so much more stronger than my knowledge and my qualification and my competency. So just, customer needs to come first. And I practice that now because I feel horrible for what I did to that poor lady. Second big fat mistake that I did was I was giving a gym, I think like a trial PT sessions to a guy. He was about 130 kilos. He had diabetes, and there was no other health conditions. He hadn't done any fitness before, so there was no strength, no cardiovascular health, nothing there, right? We went through like leg extension, leg curl. We went through a lat pull down, and then I thought it was a good idea to get him on a chin assist machine. The maximum weight, I believe, on the chin assist machine was either 100 kilos or 110 kilos. I did not think that this guy, he looked big, right? I thought he had the strength. That's my mistake. I assumed. Assumptions, don't go with assumptions, right? I got him on the chin assist machine. He holds it, he goes down, and he's stuck in that position. He doesn't have the strength to pull himself up. The only way for him to get down is to just literally slide out from the bottom, which is risky because the machine can come up. And so when that happened, I was shitting myself. The gym was a little bit busy, so there was people around that were looking at us. And when a PT does that, it shows that they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and it doesn't show. It's not a good thing when you see a PT getting somebody to do something. But I did not know that I shouldn't have done that, and I regret that. So the mistakes or the things that I learned from that is I need to test beginners. I need to always play it safe. I'd rather give them something too easy than too hard where, it diminishes their confidence and or they hurt themselves or worse. And to always make sure the customer safety comes first. Third mistake, oh my god, you guys are going to think I'm a horrible PT. I don't do this anymore. This was back years ago, okay? I made a poor guy throw up. I know. Like, what was I thinking? I made him do, so he'd come to me for personal training. He hadn't done any personal training before. We had, I think, maybe 4 or 5 sessions. So he was still in the beginner stages. And I made him do 2 minutes on the assault bike as fast as he could. Like, that is something you give athletes or somebody that's really seasoned in the gym. What was I thinking? Like, I don't know if it was like first thing in the morning and I was still not awake, or I thought it was like a test to see if he could do it. Like I was the poor guy. He did the 2 minutes, right? And then he got off, he went to the toilet, he comes out after 20 minutes and he's thrown up a lot. And I feel horrible. And there was another PT walking by me and he heard that conversation. And I was like, my stomach sunk. And I was like, what have I just done? Like, what the hell have I just done? Like, I this could have ended really badly. Like, so what did this teach me? It taught me to not push or test beginners. Like, 2 minutes is too much on the freaking assault bike. If you've seen the assault bike, it's hard work. Even for 20 seconds, even for 40 seconds, it's freaking hard work. Like I don't know what I was thinking, okay? It taught me that if I make mistakes like this, it's going to ruin my reputation. And eventually somebody's going to get injured, or somebody's going to like want to make a claim or something, and it's going to affect my business, my income. Is going to affect my future. And so when you're planning, just have it be safe, and then when you're in the session, then you can pick up on like the person's strength and their energy level, and then you can maybe push them. But like, just safety first, always. Right, moving on to the fourth mistake that I made as a PT is when you're first a PT, right, you want to make money, right? I was still working full time, but I loved making money. I loved charging £50 for an hour. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And so I would work with everybody. And what I found out is that not everybody is your ideal client, because some people that pay, when they pay you, they feel like they own you and they expect so much more from you, whereas it's just a 1 hour session. It used to be an hour session. They would expect you to do an hour and 10-minute session. They would expect you to be on the phone or answer all the questions on WhatsApp. They just expected a lot more. And when you're a new business owner, you think that you should work with everybody, and that's not the case. You have to be selective of the person that you let come into your world, because they can either be energy draining or energy giving. And if they're energy draining, you're not going to want to go to work. You're not going to want to work with them. You're not going to show up in your 100% authentic self. You're not going to be able to help them as much as you want. You're not going to enjoy it. And you're going to be like, I hate what I do. And it's not going to be sustainable. And you're not going to be able to help the people that you actually want to help and that want your help. So lesson from that: screen people before you work with them. If there's some red flags are normally, they're very like difficult with the payment. They're like, instead of £50 for 2 sessions, can I have £50 for 4 sessions, but then not do once a week, and do maybe once this week and then once after 4 weeks, and then see how it goes. And there's a lot of different things. They want you to adjust things for them. Whereas with the other clients, nobody does that. And you can see the minority do that, and those are the red flags. Or you set a stand and you're like, I want you to give me 40 hours notice if you want to cancel or reschedule. And some people don't respect that, and you're like, okay, this is a standard that I've set. I set this before we started working together, and now you're not respecting that, and I don't want to work with you again. And there's things what is it called? It's like an assessment. You give them something to do, you have a session with them, you see, are they even coachable? Like, when you tell them to do something, do they do it? or are they not even listening, or are they doing it properly, or do they think they know better? Like, you have to, these are the things that make your relationship with your client so much more better, because then you can give them everything that you have and they're giving you everything they have, and it's a win-win for everybody. This mistake, I still struggle with it today, and I shouldn't, but it's timekeeping. And when you're a personal trainer and you have sessions back to back, you have to be on time. It doesn't look good if you're always late, or if you're getting there on the dot, which is what I would be. I would either be a couple of minutes late, or I'd get there on the dot. And it's just, when you get there on the dot, you're rushing to put your things away. You don't have time to go to the toilet. You don't have time to just breathe and just like read over the notes just to make sure you know exactly what you're going to do. It's just, you're in a very different mindset when you turn up rushed compared to when you turn up 5 or 10 minutes early. You take your time, you can have a little bit of banter with somebody. It just puts you in a different frame of mind. So I would say the timekeeping I still struggle with today, but at least now I'm not always late. I'm late less, but it's definitely something that I need to work on. Something that really helps me with the timekeeping is when I get up. So the night before, I pack my bag, pack my food, pack everything is ready. So in the morning, there's less decision making. In the morning, I just need to like brush my teeth, have food, put on the clothes that are already there, have the bag that's already ready, and get out the door. One more thing that helps is on the day when I wake up, I set my alarm for when I need to leave the door. If I need to leave the house at 6:15, I wouldn't just keep watching my clock until 6:15, because I will push it until 6:16 and then get out the door, and it takes another minute to put on the shoes, and by the time I'm out the door it's actually 6:20. So what I do is I put on a timer for 15 and 20 minutes, so I know I'm counting down to when I need to leave. And that has always made a difference to me. Like, if ever you struggle with timekeeping, try that instead of just watching the clock, and then you find actually you're out the door, because you don't want this thing to vibrate when you're still inside. I hate it when it vibrates. I freaking hate it. I want to be out the door ready to go when this thing goes off, and it's just like a little dopamine tick. It's weird. Can a scientist like prove that's a dopamine tick when you like, it's like hitting a target. You have a target, you hit the target, and you feel damn good. So that is something that always helps. And those are the mistakes that I've made as a PT. I know they suck, and we all make mistakes. We're humans and we learn from them, right? At least we try to learn from them. If you don't try to learn from your mistakes, then, and if you're not growing, then you're dying, and that means you're not a good PT. So thank you so much for watching. Eat your cake, do your curls, and watch this video next.